We live in interesting times. Today's stories. Venezuelan soldiers killed 2 in a clash over aid on Brazil border. Virgin Galactic takes crew of 3 to an altitude of 55 miles. Roma stars unlikely road from the mountains of Mexico to Hollywood. Pro-pipeline protest rolls into Canada's capital. Trump picks Canada envoy Kelly Knight Craft as UN ambassador. A battle to free nearly 100 captured whales in Russia. Plus, Kids Fest Toronto makes the year's first long weekend extra fun for families. This is Eagle News Canada, bringing you stories from around the globe. I am Arnie Aquino. A human rights group said that Venezuelan soldiers killed 2 people and wounded 15 others when they tried to prevent the troops from blocking an entry route for humanitarian aid on the Brazilian border. The group Cape said that an indigenous woman and her husband were killed and at least 15 other members of the Pemon indigenous community were injured.
Nosotros habíamos cerrado pacíficamente esa vía para evitar el ingreso de los mismos, pero ellos sin tomarle ni buscar manera de conversar con las autoridades, ellos simplemente tomaron decisión de entrar de manera agresiva. En ese entonces, lamentablemente, el resultado de todo eso fue 14 heridos con armas de fuego, no son perdigones, con armas de fuego, con armas del Estado. Han agredido, hirieron a 14 indígenas y una señora que lamentablemente falleció.
Vamos a buscar mejor vida porque aquí la situación en Venezuela ya está cada día peor, cada día más difícil.
Hay hambre.
¿Y cómo fue la caminada? ¿Cuánto tiempo?
Duramos una hora.
¿Una hora de caminada?
Sí. Buscar una mejor
¿Está embarazada ella, sí?
Estoy esperando acá para poder cruzar la frontera o si no cruzar por la trocha.
¿Le comida a los filhos?
¿Qué le va? Comida a los filhos, ropa, comida, todo. En Venezuela no hay.
¿Cómo está la situación?
The clash occurred in southeastern Bolivar state close to the border with Brazil, which President Nicolas Maduro ordered closed on Thursday. Virgin Galactic's spacecraft reached an altitude of more than 55 miles on Friday, carrying for the first time a passenger in addition to its 2 pilots. The company said Spaceship Two, built by British billionaire Richard Branson to carry tourists into space, launched from California's Mojave Desert and flew to an altitude of 55.87 miles. The U.S. definition of space is anything over an altitude of 50 miles. The Virgin craft made it past that for the first time in December, reaching an altitude of 50.9 miles. Branson announced with great fanfare at the time that it was the first time since NASA ended its space shuttle program in 2011 that an American vessel had carried humans into space. However, the Virgin craft still has not crossed the internationally accepted boundary between Earth's outer atmosphere and space known as the Kármán line, which is set at an altitude of 62 miles. Virgin Galactic wrote as it tweeted updates throughout the event without sending out any live footage, Spaceship Two, welcome back to space. The spacecraft traveled at a speed of Mach 3, or 3 times the speed of sound in its ascent, and landed without incident at the Mojave spaceport. It is designed to carry 6 passengers, but test flights are years behind schedule in large part because of an accident that killed a test pilot in 2014. Branson said earlier this month that he hoped the test flights would be far enough ahead by July that he would be able to join a flight. For the first time Friday, the flight carried a passenger, Virgin Galactic's Beth Moses, who will be in charge of training the company's future space tourists. To take off from the ground, Spaceship Two is carried by another larger plane, White Knight 2, which resembles a combination of 2 airplanes attached by their wingtips. When it is high enough, it releases the spaceship, which then fires up its own rocket engine and ascends for roughly a minute into space. At the apogee, its passengers float in zero gravity for several minutes. It then descends and glides back to the landing strip. Branson's main rival is Blue Origin, created by billionaire Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. Bezos told an audience in New York this week that his New Shepard suborbital vehicle would start flying people later this year and to a greater altitude than Spaceship Two. New Shepard has already flown above the Kármán line, but not with people on board. Yalitza Aparicio once was a newly qualified preschool teacher living in a dusty mountain town in Mexico. Now, the 25-year-old is the star of Alfonso Cuarón's Roma and an Oscar nominee, a fairy tale marred with racist barbs the indigenous actress has encountered along the way. Aparicio, who is part Mixtec and part Triqui, grew up in Tlaxiaco in the southern state of Oaxaca, home to about 40,000 people. She had never even seen a movie on the big screen until she was 15 and went on a school trip to Puebla, a city some 350 kilometers or 220 miles away. Tlaxiaco closed its only movie theater years ago, explains Miguel Angel Martinez, who runs the small city's tiny cultural center. Even then, it had only shown films that had screened everywhere else years before. The theater's demise was hastened by the advent of pirated DVDs, a flourishing black market that at least brought more up-to-date movies to Tlaxiaco. Now, in an open-air market next to the church and clock tower, a stall advertises Roma on sale for 20 pesos, or $1. In the film, Aparicio plays an indigenous nanny living with a family in Mexico City, a tale drawn from Cuarón's own childhood in the 1970s. In real life, Aparicio grew up in a tiny house among flowers, chickens, and cows, before becoming Cuarón's unlikely on-screen muse.
That nowadays, when there is a president in this country that wants to build a wall in the full extension of the Mexico-USA border, arts and cinema tear down walls. You know, they construct bridges. So that's so important to us, and that's why on Sunday, Viva Mexico, Viva Cuarón, we're rooting for him.
Since bursting onto the big screen, her performance has been lauded from Europe to the United States, and her face has appeared on the covers of prestigious magazines. She is the first indigenous woman to be nominated for a Best Actress Oscar.
This year, Alfonso Cuarón and Roma has 10 nominations. Now, it's not the first year that we've had Mexico with exciting stories. We've had Alejandro González Iñárritu here twice as Best Director. Last year, Guillermo del Toro, and we also had Alfonso back in the years of Gravity.
But with her newfound fame has come a wave of racist comments on social media, and even some from fellow actors. Sergio Goyri, a 60-year-old Mexican soap opera star, was caught on camera criticizing the Academy for nominating an Indian using a vile profanity.
Entonces, estamos contentos y estamos felices, y yo creo que también se está abriendo la puerta no solo para México, para cualquier país en el mundo que tenga una producción de calidad. Antes pensábamos que pues si no eran hechas por grandes estudios, nunca iban a estar en la categoría de mejor película, y Alfonso está demostrando lo contrario.
Other actors have questioned her talent, sparking indignation from Cuarón. He said, quote, "Yalitza is one of the best actors I have worked with. It is wrong and racist to think that she is only playing herself." Up next, pro-pipeline protest rolls into Canada's capital. Trump picks Canada envoy Kelly Knightcraft as UN ambassador. A battle to free nearly 100 captured whales in Russia. These and more when Eagle News Canada returns. We will be right back.
Hong Kong, Japan, Brunei, Taiwan, kahit saan sa Asia, France, Germany o Italy, saan man sa Europa.
Ikaw ba ay isang OFW? Alam mo ba ang iyong mga karapatan? Subaybayan ang gabay ng OFW International tuwing Lunes at Sabado alas 8 hanggang alas 9 ng gabi dito lang sa DZEC Radyo Agila.
Subaybayan ang bagong news programs ng Net25. Agila Balita, Washington DC Edition tuwing Lunes mula alas 7 hanggang alas 7:30 ng umaga at Eagle News International Filipino Edition Martes hanggang Biyernes mula alas 7 hanggang alas 7:30 ng umaga. Lalong pinalakas at pinalawak na pagbabalita. Eagle News Service as we live in interesting times.
Ang Pilipinas ay isang bansang agrikultural na ang land area ay umaabot sa mahigit 30 milyong ektarya. Malaking bahagi nito tinatawag na lupang sakahan. Bagaman ang bansa ay isang agricultural country, problema pa rin ang kakapusan ng supply ng pagkain lalo na sa mahihirap na syudad. Pero may nakikitang solusyon dito ang tinatawag na urban farming. Sa pamamagitan ng urban farming, kahit sa bakuran o mga bakanting lote, pwede itong tamnan lalo na mga gulay at iba pang pananim. Sa pamamagitan din ng makabagong teknolohiya, maituturo sa mga kababayan ang paggawa ng organic na pataba at pag-iimbak ng tubig na gagamitin para mabilis tumubo ang mga pananim. Bukod sa katiyakan sa pagkain, may dagdag na kita pa kung marami ang aanihing produkto. Ako po si Mean Corvera, kaisa sa pagsusulong ng urban farming para na rin sa kasiguruhan ng sapat na supply ng pagkain.
Letters and Music, Lunes hanggang Biyernes, 1:00 hanggang alas 2 ng hapon.
Welcome back. You are watching Eagle News Canada. A convoy of big trucks from Canada's oil-producing regions rolled into the capital, Ottawa, as hundreds of people, including Yellow Vest activists, rallied in protest at government curbs on pipeline construction. Parked outside Parliament, they honked horns and waved placards reading "Canadians need pipelines and good-paying jobs" as they pressed for new regulations, allowing the industry to expand. Ottawa area farmer and former politician Jack McLaren told the cheering crowd this country was built on natural resources. He also stated that what's going on in the oil industry is terrible. The world wants to buy our oil, but we can't get it to them. Nearly 50 big rigs drove almost 3,500 kilometers from Red Deer, Alberta for the rally, which brought together about 500 oil workers backed by farmers and Yellow Vest protesters. They were met by a smaller counter-protest that included environmental activists calling for a livable climate and Indigenous groups agitating for their rights. Canada is the world's 4th largest producer and exporter of oil, but almost all of it is sold to the United States at a discount. Many efforts over recent decades to build new pipelines have meanwhile faltered or failed under intense opposition from environmental and Indigenous groups. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's government has declared building conduits to move oil to tidewater for shipping to new overseas markets a national imperative in order to ease Canada's reliance on the U.S. and to get a better price for its oil.
On veut qu'ils prennent la porte, c'est simple, on veut qu'ils s'en aillent. En France, on crie Macron démission, ici on va crier Trudeau démission.
In August, the federal government bought the 1,150-kilometer Trans Mountain Pipeline and relaunched consultations with Pacific Coast Indigenous groups after a court ruled the tribe should get a say in the project to move 890,000 barrels per day. The tribes worried that increasing shipping from a marine terminal at the end of the route in Vancouver would impede the recovery of killer whale populations in the area. A new bill currently in the Senate also looks to break the deadlock by imposing new environmental assessment measures on mega projects.
It's important to show Canada and the rest of the world what's been going on in our country, how our resource sector has been devastated by regulation and high taxation. and we've got massive unemployment, and we want people to get back to work.
That bill has upset energy workers who say onerous regulations have strangled growth in the oil sector.
Our debt is growing and growing and growing. I have my grandkids' names on our truck. My grandkids aren't going to be able to pay for this debt. My great-grandkids aren't going to be paid for this debt. It has to stop.
The oil workers have drawn support from farmers concerned that oil is being increasingly shipped by rail, displacing grain shipments, and from opponents to a federal carbon tax.
We're starting to have a disconnect between the West and Ottawa as far as not being heard. I mean, our current government it appears that they have other agendas other than working for the people of Canada.
President Donald Trump said he is nominating Kelly Knight-Craft, his envoy to Canada, to be the next U.S. ambassador to the United Nations and succeed Nikki Haley. Trump said in a pair of tweets announcing his pick, quote, "Kelly has done an outstanding job representing our nation, and I have no doubt that under her leadership, our country will be represented at the highest level." Knight-Craft was nominated 1 week after Trump's previous choice, former Fox News anchor and State Department spokeswoman Heather Nauert, withdrew from consideration amid criticism that she lacked the gravitas for one of the top diplomatic posts. Dozens of orcas and beluga whales captured for sale to oceanariums have brought Russia's murky trade into the spotlight, but efforts to free them have been blocked by government infighting. Russia is the only country where orcas or killer whales and belugas can be caught in the ocean for the purpose of education. The legal loophole has been used to export them to satisfy demand in China's growing network of ocean theme parks. Photos of a total of 11 orcas and 87 belugas crammed into small enclosures at a secure facility in the far eastern town of Nakhoda sparked a global outcry, and the Kremlin stepped in, saying the fate of suffering animals must be resolved. Dmitry Listsin, head of the Sakhalin Environmental Watch Group, who has emerged as a point person in the campaign to release the whales captured last summer back into the wild, said, quote, "There have never been that many animals caught in one season and kept in one facility before anywhere else in the world." Russian investigators launched 2 probes into poaching and animal cruelty, while Russia's environmental watchdog said it had refused to issue permits to export the whales. But the investigations and any potential court case could drag on for months. The Russian government is split between the Environment Ministry that says the animals must be released and the Fisheries Agency that defends their capture as part of a legitimate industry. The captured killer whales belong to the rarer seal-eating population of the species, which does not interbreed or interact with fish-eating orcas. The Environment Ministry has tried to list the seal-eating type as endangered. Ministry Representative Olga Krever said both the United States and Canada stopped catching wild orcas in the 1970s due to negative publicity, so China relies on Russian exports. Coming up, Kids Fest Toronto makes the first long weekend of the year extra fun for families. Eagle News Canada will return shortly.
Alas 3:30 ng madaling araw dito sa Tuguegarao City at ganito kalakas na hangin ang dala ng bagyong Ongkong.
Ano man ang sitwasyon.
Sa sobrang lakas ng apoy, kung yun nakikita dito sa aking likuran, halos may mga nagliliparan ng mga animoy abo.
Matapos ang ilang araw ng mga pagulan, nag-iwan ng sangkatirbak na putik. Ang mga residente hindi na magkahumayaw sa paglilinis.
Nakikita nga natin na abalang-abala yung mga rescuer mula sa AFP, PNP, Bureau of Fire Protection, Red Cross, mga volunteer rescuer at maging yung mga local miners doon sa lugar doon sa paghuhukay sa bawat sulok ng landslide area.
Saan mang panig ng mundo.
This is Eagle News, Washington, D.C. I am Sarah Nack.
In anticipation of the approach of Hurricane Lane to the Hawaiian Islands.
We have the women's team.
Ilalahan ang katotohanan.
Dahil sa patuloy na pagbaba ng presyo ng mga produktong petrolyo sa bansa, muling magkakaroon ng oil price rollback sa bansa sa susunod na linggo.
Hihilingin na ni Senador Antonio Trillanes sa liderato ng Senado.
Ilang oras bago manalasa ang bagyong Ompong, dito naman sa lalawigan ng Ilocos Sur ang ating mga kababayan na mga magsasaka. Pilit-pilit sinasalba yung kanilang mga pananim.
Eagle News Teams.
Landmarks, Linggo, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng gabi.
This is Eagle News Canada. I'm Arnie Aquino. What better way to spend Family Day than at an 80,000 square foot place that is all about pure fun? Riza Mangalit with more details. Riza?
It is the first long weekend of the year 2019 here in Toronto, and this long weekend is a much-needed break.
Family Day long weekend is a break off work for most people in Toronto. A perfect opportunity to spend time with those dear to you, thus Family Day. And if you're looking for a fun activity for this weekend, this might be the event for you. Kids Fest Toronto, a 3-day celebration, is happening at the International Center.
So it's a big family festival taking place all Family Day weekend. We have a ton of stuff for people to do. We have a Paw Patrol meet and greets from noon to 4 daily. We also have a bunch of inflatables that people can jump on. We have jumping castle slides. We have arcade games, we have an escape room, and we have Lego. We have a lot of different things that people can do. It's a great place for people to come together and spend some time together on Family Day weekend because there's not much to do because everything is closed.
Kids Fest Toronto is the ultimate kids fun zone with more than 30 themed inflatables blown up and ready for action. That's 80,000 square feet of pure fun. Interactive stage shows features several performers such as hands-on, exotics, and mad science.
Their favorite events are all of the jumping castles. There's so many in one place.
And the horse!
And the petting zoo and the ponies.
Seeing the animals, petting the animals, and then seeing the goats, sheep that you don't regularly see. That's my favorite part. They're enjoying the bouncy castles most, and yeah, just having fun in general in this weather.
My favorite activity was the bouncy castles. My favorite part was the magic show. The magician did really cool tricks, and at the end there was a dance party.
Spending quality time with family by engaging in fun activities together builds lasting memories. Happy Family Day, everyone! For Eagle News, reporting from Toronto, Canada, this is Riza Manginit, 1 with 25.
Thanks, Riza. That is this week's Eagle News Canada. Join us next week for stories that matter to you. Visit our websites at Eaglenews.PH and EagleNewsLive.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/EagleNewsPH. Thank you for watching. I am Arnie Aquino. I am 1 with 25.
Ang kagutuman at malnutrisyon ay isa sa mga lumalalang problema na kinakaharap ng ating bansa at maging ng buong daigdig.
Sa pag-aaral ng Social Weather Stations o SWS, nasa mahigit 2 milyong pamilyang Pilipino ang nagsabing nakaranas sila ng gutom sa unang quarter ng 2018.
Sa isang pag-aaral naman ukol sa estado ng kalusugan ng mga bata sa bawat bansa, ang Pilipinas ay naging pang-104 mula sa pang-76 na pwesto dahil sa mas dumaraming kaso ng malnutrisyon at pagkabansot sa mga bata.